A quick warning. The following episode contains conversations of sexual and domestic abuse and suicide.
Today, we continue our Folk Around and Find Out triple feature series in which we explore the pastoral horrors of folklore and all the primal fears and pagan myths that come with it with Alex Garland's horror rebirth tragedy, Men. So, throw on your raincoat, strap on your galoshes. I'm sorry, it's a funny word.
It's a funny word. Maybe strap-on is what's getting you, unless galosh.
Well, you know, when you picture a galosh being a strap-on, it's like real weird. Okay.
I heard this guy got pegged by a galosh.
By a galosh.
Sounds like a pastry.
I would love a galosh.
Casey, I really think you should read the intro as Jeffrey.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, come on. This is theater. We are here to give our audience a performance they will never forget. Casey playing the indomitable man, Jeffrey, a.k.a. the Green Man.
Today, we continue our Folk Around and Find Out triple feature series in which we explore the pastoral horrors of folklore and all the primal fears and pagan myths that come with it, with Alex Garland's horror rebirth tragedy, Men. So, throw on your raincoat, strap on your galoshes, and take a stroll with us through the English countryside as we meet the Green Man, a mythological symbol of rebirth, fertility, untamed nature, and, in this film at least, the vicious and even dangerous cycle of perpetuated cultural norms like emotional abuse and... Oh, fuck. I was doing so well. Cultural norms like emotional abuse, psychological manipulation, and toxic masculinity in men. It was not that good.
That was so good.
Casey.
That was so good. You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
Boss, you opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you meatloaf. Surprise, Sydney.
Come on, don't be chicken shit.
Hello and welcome to How I Met Your Monster, the show where we discuss the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you find your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, especially of this folklore, Folk Around and Find Out triple feature series. But before we get into that, if you want to find some amazing horror content and help support the show, just visit shop.fangoria.com/howimetyourmonster. It'll take you to the Fangoria website. It looks the same as any other trip to a Fangoria website, but it's got a special link. And with that link, you'll get 20% off when you enter promo code How I Met Your Monster at checkout. And you can add t-shirts, hats, pins. You can get even a yearly subscription. It's good for one yearly subscription, 20% off. So shop.fangoria.com/howimetyourmonster and enter promo code How I Met Your Monster at checkout for 20% off, and you will help support our show so we can bring you more monsters, and you'll get some really cool horror information because Fangoria magazine is just awesome.
Indeed.
But
couldn't have said it better myself.
We are on our second feature in our... Thank you, Danny. Thank you. We are on our second feature film in our Folk Around and Find Out triple feature. We're talking Alex Garland's Men. With the titular Men being our monster.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of us today when I will say that we're going to be talking a lot of shit on men today.
I think that's fair.
But we also don't think all men are completely terrible.
True.
And I think in this movie, a lot of it is, Harper's situation as well.
Yeah.
Which,
I think for the sake of this movie, you have to commit to the fact that all men kind of suck, at least.
Yeah.
At least a little bit.
Context of this story.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey.
Yeah.
I fucking suck a lot of the times. I get it.
I'm great.
As long as you continue to try to do better.
Yeah.
No, I just acknowledge it. I have no intention of doing better.
Casey, can you read the before we get into talking about this movie, can you read the synopsis for men?
A young woman goes on a solo vacation to her English countryside. Fuck my life.
She has her own countryside. She goes. It should say a young woman. It should say a young rich woman goes on a solo vacation to her own countryside.
A young woman goes on a solo.
Scrooge McDuck goes to his countryside.
Fuck. There's that episode of Family Guy where Peter jumps off of a diving board into a pool of gold coins, like they used to do in like Scrooge McDuck would do, and he just like breaks every bone in his body, and he's like, "It's hard. It's not liquid. It's a great many solids." Okay. A young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband.
Okay. How do you guys feel that synopsis? I feel like there could be a little bit more
but
to lead
I
us.
think it's intentionally vague.
Yeah,
right.
It definitely sets up the premise.
Yeah.
But it leaves you... Yeah. I mean, there are things that happen in this movie that I'm not sure how anyone could really explain it or condense into a synopsis, because it's so it goes places.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of this movie? This was my first watch, but you guys had seen this before.
I love this movie.
Yeah,
this was Casey's pick, so you want to...
Yeah, I love this movie. Watching it the second time, I liked it even more because obviously the more times you watch this movie, the more things you're going to pick up on and the more things you're going to notice. Mm-hmm. And then after I watched it, I started thinking about a bunch of stuff, and I almost watched it a third time because I wanted to get more, but I didn't. But there was so much more I think that I could have. Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Sorry.
Just listening to you.
No, my cat. He's just like jumped up on my back. But I almost watched it a third time because I thought, man, there's so much more that I could even put together, I guess, because you start to think of all these things, and especially because of the way that everything's pieced together, it's kind of intentionally confusing, I think. Or
it's definitely not in terms of like traditional storytelling.
Yeah,
it is. There's a lot of symbolism, like very deliberate symbolism in the movie. To sort of, I don't know, that kind of pairs really well with, I guess, the complexities of just what Harper is dealing with in this movie. It's the fact that what she's going through isn't really that easy to, explain, or just any kind of grief is you can't put it into words, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like that is why I think this movie works so well with what the story is. It's hard to put it into words. And you have to kind of ruminate a little bit with it. You have to let it stew. And that's why I think some movies, some movies I think you could accuse of being deliberately vague to a fault. Obviously that's subjective, but I actually think it works so well. It's a really perfect pairing.
I didn't realize how many similarities there would be between this and our last episode's movie, The Wicker Man.
There really were a lot. Yeah.
And that might be just a testament to folk horror as a subgenre.
Yeah, well,
because it is really gravitating around so many similar themes.
So when I had picked this movie, I remember asking you guys, is men actually folk horror? But then, when I started watching it this time again, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it's got the pagan stuff in it and the Green Man and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, it's very similar to The Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Did you like it, Zach?
Yeah, I did. I liked it a lot. I had gone into this, like, I made sure you guys didn't tell me anything. I had stayed away from all kinds of information over the past, what's been out for over a year now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to know anything. And I kept hearing that it's like, just, it's crazy. Like, you don't know where it's going to go. And this and the second half is wild. And I was like, okay. So I was surprised. I think a lot of it was built up in my head. Like, what can I imagine? Like, this, people are saying how crazy this is. Like, I have no idea. So like when it happened, like the big reveal kind of happened, I wasn't so surprised. Like,
really?
I was surprised because I never saw that coming, but I wasn't like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
It was just
Because
like,
even the second time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I knew it was going to happen.
and maybe I'm
To
not
Zach's
explaining
point, it's
myself
like
right.
if you go into a movie like this, like we were talking about the sort of like, understated symbolism that the movie is, that like that vibe that it has throughout most of the movie. If you're going into this kind of movie, just seeing that, just being introduced to that and just knowing about that, and then all of a sudden, spoiler alert, a guy starts giving birth to himself in like a cycle that gets progressively gorier and gorier. I can see how if someone doesn't set you up, like that would probably be, which Casey, I think you and I can relate to, like one of the most surprising things to see in a movie. But if you were even a little bit like have an inkling of where this story might be going, even if you don't have the specifics, then I think to Zach's point, maybe it's like, nothing could have shocked you completely.
Yeah. Like I was shocked by what that was. I guess what I'm saying is like, when you go in hearing like how crazy something is, like people are like, you're not ready for this movie. Like, this is wild.
Sorry,
like,
that's exactly what I said.
Oh no, it's fine. But like nothing can top what is in your head, even though there's nothing in your head yet.
Right.
It's just like, well, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sorry that you were disappointed.
Oh, I wasn't disappointed. Like, I hope I really
sorry, Zach.
I really want to get
we
that
were just
point across.
Excited.
I was not disappointed. I was very surprised and I liked the movie very much. But just like, there's like some crazy expectation level in your head that will never be topped. Yeah. Just because
you find out like in the end, it's just like adjacent to the Avengers movies. You're like, wait a minute, what? Like that is crazy. I did not see that coming.
Doctor Strange comes out. But no, I really enjoyed this movie. And I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And speaking of talking about, we can finally talk about what Casey and I avoided talking about in our last episode, The Wicker Man. That the pub that they go to in The Wicker Man is called The Green Man. Yeah. And The Green Man is the monster in this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Like you even see the face on the pub sign and it's almost identical to his face in this.
Well, do you guys want to talk about The Green Man for just a minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
And men in general. Because there is another character in this movie that irks me to no end.
Well, I think that he means like what the Green Man is.
Yeah.
Itself, not within the movie.
Oh, sorry. Proceed.
Let's talk about the Green Man and its presence in folklore.
Let's do it.
So the Green Man in folklore represents rebirth and the cycle of growth. He was often depicted as like a face with like foliage coming out of everywhere on his face. And he was often carved into wood or stone in really old medieval churches and cathedrals. And the first recorded references of him go back to the 2nd century. But before that, nobody knows like where it actually started. That's just like where they first heard about it. A lot of people like dress up as the Green Man around the springtime for Beltane, which we talked about last episode in The Wicker Man, also known as May Day.
Oh, I wonder if we go back and look at their May Day celebration, if there are people dressed up as the Green Man.
There is.
Yeah, okay.
There is. In that parade, there's someone dressed up as the Green Man. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's big in the thing because like, and they're like, we were talking about the similarities between this and the Wicker Man, and it's like the apples, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Adam and Eve and the rebirth, they're like crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny. All the notes that I took, for some reason, I was so drawn to the apples because there's such an emphasis on it. And I don't think I wrote, there's so much to like pull apart in this movie that I completely accidentally avoided the apples.
Well, they're very obvious, so it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
That's fair.
Well, I think like it's kind of like that's what sets off the whole fucking shebang is when she eats that apple off the tree.
She's
it's
a
like,
sinner.
oh God.
But do you think the events would not have played out had she not eaten the apple?
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so?
Because when she eats the apple and then we'll get to this later, but she just sets it on the fucking counter of a stranger's house, a half-eaten apple. Anyways,
I think that
Jeffrey
if they would have
comes in.
happened. Sorry, nothing.
Oh, okay. And then Jeffrey comes in and he sees the apple, and for a second he's like, "Oh, shit, okay." You know, he's got this look on his face like, "Uh-oh." And then he says, "Oh, you shouldn't eat that forbidden fruit." Oh, just kidding, haha.
I think it would have happened, but I'll tell you guys why later.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think of, the fact that she was kind of drawn to this area in general, and like for the apple to be the one like thing to initiate everything that happens. I don't know. I guess I haven't given it a lot of thought, but I wonder if the apple was just one of many potential symbols of kind of temptation to get the ball rolling. Like if it wasn't the apple, it would have been something else. And it was like the Green Man and his powers would have figured out a convenient way for her to kind of fall in his trap, for lack of a better term, like.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk about it now.
It could have been that. What?
I said, I guess I'll talk about it now. I think it was less about the temptation thing and more about, so when Eve took a bite of the apple, women were blamed basically for beginning sin. So women are blamed for, causing all of that. Yeah. So I think that the apple was just because even before she takes a bite of the apple, we don't know it yet because we haven't seen all of it. But James blames her for everything that's happened in their relationship and for him dying, whether it was on accident or by suicide, it was still her fault. So I think the apple was just I think that was just to show us that, she's being blamed.
That's such a good point, Casey. Because they doubled down on that idea so much. Even like when the priest later, or the vicar, is talking about like, her turning him on, and no matter what she does, it doesn't matter. He's going to blame her for whatever he plans on doing to her. It's like, oh, that's such a good takeaway, Casey. Yeah, thank you. That makes so much sense.
Okay, well, are you guys ready to jump into this pile of men? Just jump right in. Danny's ready. Danny, you're ready.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Okay, so let's head to Harper's own personal English countryside and and meet the monsters in Men.
You made a note, Zach, that this starts with kind of like a folk song to kick things off. Wicker Man does that too.
Yeah. The opening, like this was like started just like the typical, I wrote standard folk song to open the movie because it's just like a stereotypical way to start a folk movie. Like the folk song driving through the countryside, just like he was flying to the island and
that I feel like is such a
mash with the helicopter.
Yeah, it's such a folk horror staple, and we've already hit like 2 out of 3 so far, where it's character kind of leaving the city to go into the country, where like nature, because folk horror is all about like nature sort of like taking over, and you're sort of like in nature's on nature's turf.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny that, of course, both of these movies would start that way. But now that we're like so aware of it, it feels not like a trope. I don't know. I guess a staple is a nicer way to say that.
Yeah.
Oh man, if Lair the White Worm opens that way.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
What if both of these songs are playing? Like, and he's on an airplane, but like going to the countryside.
He's on an airplane and he looks down and he sees Harper driving in her little Ford Fiesta or whatever the fuck it is.
Or it's like a 007 thing where it turns into a the car turns into a helicopter. Like, wow, it's such a specific meta joke.
Speaking of 007, Rory Kinnear, who plays all the men in this movie, is in all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
He is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's very good in it.
Well, that's something that we should
him.
just start off by saying is all of the performances in this movie are really great.
Yeah.
Wild. Like, so good. It's crazy. Yeah. And also yet another example of horror movies not really being recognized for awards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you not? I mean, especially, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would argue that Rory Kinnear and Jessie Buckley should have gotten equal praise, I guess, for their performances because they come at it in such a different way. Hers with the grief and his as the monster.
Yeah.
They still get kind of an equal opportunity to play with so much like intense range.
Yeah, it's all really good.
God, really?
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. The movie opens with this crazy orange lighting, and it's supposed to be like, I guess it's supposed to be like the sunlight or something. Mm-hmm. But like, why was there a reason it was orange? Did you guys like read into that at all? Because then like in all the flashbacks, like all the lighting is like orange and I didn't know if that like symbolized something.
So, well, they also have orange lighting on the Sheila gig on the pulpit too.
Interesting. And the house that she stays in is not orange, but it's
red.
Yeah, it's deep red, and in Riley, her friend, even kind of directly points it out.
Yeah.
I had read something that I guess the pub is also dark red inside. I didn't catch it, but I read about it, and the person writing the article said that was to like symbolize that even inside she's not safe from the horrors that she's experiencing, because it's like kind of her grief that she's dealing with. So
interesting.
Even like going inside, she's still in danger. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even think of the lighting when I thought about the red inside the house. My first like thought was, is the house supposed to represent something that's like living? So inside it's like fleshy and bloody, like color red. But I don't know how. I don't know what that. I dug no further than that.
Apples are
like
also red.
Like a uterus, Danny. It's a uterus. The house is like a uterus.
So it's honestly, my first thought was period blood.
Aha.
Because it is all about rebirth and
because he even makes a mention of her cycle when he's in the bathroom talking about he's like, gotta tell all the women only don't flush anything down the toilet.
Yeah.
So is it too much of a stretch then to say that the color of the lighting to open it up when James is jumping or falling off the building, that we're supposed to kind of like subconsciously think of that moment as us starting the cycle of this like rebirth, like the death, which then starts her journey to sort of find herself outside of an abusive relationship. Like she maybe would have either not gotten out or had a harder time getting out of that relationship had he not been removed from the equation.
The rooftop.
Yeah, or literally the rooftop. I don't know.
I'm not like let's get Alex on the phone. Can you call up Alex Garland and get him on the phone?
Oh yeah. Hey, Alex.
Hello, old chum.
Oh, hey.
I was going to say, was he?
I don't know. I don't know what Alex Garland
you're British,
sounds like.
right, Alex? That's why you answered the phone with a British accent.
I.
So we're having a podcast conversation about your movie Men, and we were just wondering if,
of course you are. You're a 30-year-old white man. Of course you're having a podcast.
We were wondering if there was any correlation between the color red that's inside the house, the cottage, the bar, and the lighting in the opening scene of the movie.
Well, you see here, I'm sorry, I'm losing the words here.
Okay.
Our crafts, our arts and crafts section, our arts and crafts.
Yeah, you're losing that accent. It's going a little Norwegian. Is that on purpose or?
God, our arts and crafts section. What are they called? The painters,
design.
The production designers only have
Our arts and crafts section. He is British, though. I have confirmed.
Oh, is he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, am I?
You are.
I knew I was.
Yeah.
This was a very strenuous filmmaking experience for you, Alex. So I understand the confusion going so far as your accent.
Basically, that's all the paint we had, okay?
So what you're trying to tell us, Alex, is that we may be digging a little too deeply
I think so. Just get back to your podcast. I moved over to Australia. In the course of this long-ass phone call, I relocated to Australia.
God, what is it? The bill on this phone call is just going to be through the roof. But okay, well, that's good to know that none of the production design or lighting had any effect on the story or symbolism in this movie that is deeply embedded with symbolism. So, noted. Thanks, Alex.
Okay, bye. Bye, Alex.
So dumb. The fucking arts and crafts section. What the fuck is that? I need to go to improv school.
I love it. There's no wrong answers.
Oh my god. Whew. Let's not call Alex again.
No, we're not going to do that.
I tried calling him. I think he blocked me. I keep getting a message that's like, doom, doom, doom. This caller cannot be, you know how it goes.
It's like,
You sound more like Tina from Bob's Burgers. When she's in the parking lot, she's driving Bob's car. Tina, turn the wheel.
Tina, turn the car. You're driving toward the only car in the parking lot. Tina, turn the wheel.
I've actually seen that episode.
What would you call into the tunnel if you could?
Wiener.
If you wanted to hear it.
I was going to say boobies.
Okay, we're not to the tunnel yet.
Oh,
guys.
no, you know what I would call into the tunnel? Do you guys ever see Mr. Deeds?
Yeah.
I'd say, my back hurts. My back hurts. My back hurts. My back hurts.
So James is still falling off the roof. That's where we are.
Kill me. Okay, so James is falling.
We see him falling with the orange light that we discussed at length.
That turns out means nothing.
And she drives to the countryside. She drives through her own personal countryside. I don't know why whatever. But she gets to the house and she sees an apple tree.
An apple tree.
An apple tree.
Hey, those are the Wicker Man's apples. Now she's meeting a man named Joffrey.
The Wicker Man's like, who am I here?
His big
Who am
teeth.
I here?
It's another a stepfather reference that isn't really a reference.
And this is where we first meet Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his big teeth.
With his
The
big
nice
teeth.
guy is what I'm calling him.
Okay.
He's the nice
Okay.
guy.
He is
Yeah.
like the most disorienting, I would say, out of all the men, because that's the nice guy. It's the guy who like I guess who kind of presents himself as being so decent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it
He's
makes
very
you feel
chivalrous.
uncomfortable about when he does say or do weird things that you're like,
Right. She's
I don't
not
wanna
allowed
say
to bring
anything.
she's not allowed to bring her own bags in, but he's having trouble with them.
Yeah.
But it's fine because he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, because he even mentions, he's like, where's hubby? So automatically assumes she's married.
Well, is there a difference? Okay, going back to the luggage, is there a difference? It's like, what is the differences between like doing it because, oh, she's a woman and she can't get her own bags, and just being like a good host? Being like, you're my guest, I got your bags, I'm struggling, but you're the guest here, so let me take care of it.
Well, I think it's coupled with all of the other stuff that he does. He won't let her pay for her drinks. He calls her a damsel in distress. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
But to that point,
saying,
Zach,
like,
maybe
I agree that he's like, he is what you guys are saying. He's like pretending to be this. He put on the
that's
show,
like a soft defense to open up with. You know, it's like you could look at it both ways. We're gonna give him. We're gonna like ease into how creepy he is, but we're gonna do one where you could have asked that question of like,
right.
Okay, because even she's like, sure, like, fine, like, not a big deal. I kind of said, don't worry about it, but it's so harmless that it kind of opens the door to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's escalate. It does.
It sure does.
Sure do.
And he takes her on a tour of the house.
Well, we do during all of this. During the whole movie, it keeps threading back to the flashback of James and Harper's relationship.
Yeah.
They keep hitting home the point that the emotional abuse and manipulation that Harper had to deal with. Mm-hmm. Like, even to the point he says, I'm sorry you have to deal with my death. Like, little lines like that.
Yeah.
Everything is so like manipulative and threatening, and it's all sort of like, it actually is surface level, but the way he presents it, it's supposed to not be. He's just so. I hate James in this movie. He's probably my least.
Yeah.
Like Adam. Like, at least the Green Man is like this. The Green Man is like this ancient being that maybe doesn't give a fuck about humans. So you could almost argue that, like, whatever. But James, I just
like, what the fuck?
Horrible.
He says, if you divorce me, I'll kill myself, and you'll have to live with that.
She said that's why we have to get a divorce.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everything she says, he has a way to sort of combat it to make her feel even worse about it.
Yeah. He's so fucked up.
Oh, I hate it.
Yep. So yeah, they show the flashback of them fighting and talking about getting a divorce.
And then that sort of, now that we have some more context, we see how peaceful this area really is. And she goes on a little walkabout in the English countryside.
With all the green.
Which is genuinely so beautiful.
Yes.
It is beautiful. But before she goes on that walk, she calls her friend Riley, right? And there's like interference on the phone, and she thinks she sees like a face.
Yeah.
And which is kind of weird because what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
But
it doesn't really
setting some supernatural tones.
I was gonna say, it just makes it creepy.
Yeah. But then she goes on that beautiful walk in the countryside, and what does she find but a very long, dark tunnel?
Like a vagina?
Kind of like a vagina?
Is that what we're thinking?
Oh, I think the tunnel absolutely represents.
It's so funny you said that, Casey, because I literally was going to say, on the way there, they have all these cutaways to very fertile land. And then on her way to the tunnel, it starts raining. So it's like, in the rebirth idea, it's like she's being cleansed.
Yeah.
And then she enters the space that is supposed to symbolize like this rebirth. So it's this, we're seeing the cycle of like, we come from the traumatic memory to the walk, to the rain, to the tunnel.
Yeah. Like, my heart was pounding during this tunnel scene. It was like so, not like pounding, but like, I guess racing? Jogging.
Well, she goes so deep into it.
My heart was just jogging during this scene.
Look in.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like completely dark in there. And then, oh my God. My grandma used to have this sign in our house. It was like a little plaque. It was like a little art plaque. And there was a tunnel on it, just like a tunnel. And with a light at the end. And the caption under it, like, it said, "Don't be too optimistic. The light at the end of the tunnel could be another train." Like, what the
Grandma.
fuck?
Grandma. God damn.
Grandma's been through some shit.
I love that.
Some shit.
That's so funny.
But
That's great.
Harper starts doing her song, she's laying down some tracks.
Yeah,
she's
literally, because they are used later in the movie in the music.
Let the beat drop.
But then the scariest fucking thing happens. She sees someone at the end of the tunnel, and he starts running at her and screaming.
Yeah. You know who it is?
It's the Green Man.
No, it's not.
Is it Samuel?
No.
Is it James? Is it Joffrey?
It's Joffrey.
Is it? How do you know it's Joffrey?
Joffrey?
Well, first of all,
Wait,
I
Jeffrey.
assume
We're
it's
calling him Joffrey. Are we just going to commit to Joffrey?
Jeffrey.
Geoffrey.
So he says something later about how he saw her outside.
Well, yeah, but also could he have been? Well,
I mean, he could have been anywhere, but that guy was like wearing clothes, so it wasn't the Green Man.
He was wearing clothes. That's right.
How do you know he was wearing clothes?
You could see his jacket when he got up. His jacket came out, like you could see him
in
wearing
his
the
silhouette against the light. You couldn't see his little dinghy swinging, little swingy dinghy.
His penis.
You couldn't see.
You couldn't see it.
Oh, you couldn't see his penis.
Yes, I saw it. You could see a jacket.
You could see him jacket. You could see. I did not notice. I did not notice a jacket or him jacking it. So I didn't know what it was. But later, once we find things out, I just assumed that was like the Green Man birthing and like at the end of the tunnel and like running down the birth canal.
I mean, for all we know, it could just be another dude that we haven't met yet. But Casey says that.
Doesn't he say later that he saw her?
I wish I don't remember. But
I think when they're in the pub, he says it. I should have.
Well, he does say it. But she also sees the Green Man by those like abandoned houses, those like abandoned buildings. So we're to believe that like.
Well, I think we're supposed to think it's when we see the Green Man at the abandoned house, we're supposed to think that he was following her. But then later we realize that they're all sort of like
men
in it. So it actually could have been another guy.
I mean, they are all the same.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's what I'm saying. Like her seeing him standing by those buildings and like she took the picture of him. Like, could that have been Jeffrey like being like, "Oh, I saw you today"?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because are they like all one thing?
So like if one of them saw her, all of them saw her.
I don't know.
But I think he said, "I saw you down by the rails" or something like that.
Okay.
Which I assume was like a train tunnel or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he does mention something about that. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, that makes sense. So either it was specifically Jeffrey or it was just this hive mind thing. But either way, it wasn't probably wasn't the physical form of the Green Man, the naked one. Sure.
Okay.
And that is the first, in terms of meeting the monster. I know we've met Jeffrey and we've met James. And this is the first, I think, like real threatening moment of like something she's in danger. And she now knows she's in danger, and this is the moment. And aptly is in the tunnel, which is symbolic of so much of what this movie is trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So on her way back, so she runs quite a bit because she feels like she's being chased by this person. She comes to like another building with like a door, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't go in it. Later in the movie, they do like a flashback kind of thing where she's like pulling on the door, like trying to get in.
Wait, are we talking about
that?
when she comes, she circles back and she's at the tunnel, but it's like sealed off?
That's a different place.
Yeah. I assumed it was a different.
About?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she has to like climb up the hill.
Yes.
Later in the movie, there's like a shot of her like banging on that door and like trying to get in.
Yeah, I felt like there was a reason why they would show something that was identical to where we just were, only to be sealed off. But I didn't really put it together what that was. I guess if we're trying to say like, well, what this is supposed to symbolize, like it's being blocked, she's being prevented from moving forward. I guess like, why are we I don't know. Is the Green Man trying to prevent her from that?
Maybe.
Or if she doesn't deal with this, if she doesn't find her own way out, maybe, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm digging way too deep into this. But if the tunnel is blocked and the tunnel is supposed to represent this pathway into rebirth, she can't get through it. We see her trying to get through it. You said, was it a dream or a flashback? I don't remember.
Well, I think it might have been when they're doing a bunch of it's like a montage during the when you see the Sheila and the gig. There's like a bunch of imagery that happens, and I think it might be in that.
Okay. Because in that scene, she is blocked off, but then she kind of figures out her own way out of it. And I wonder, again, I know I'm going way to talk about like conspiracy theories and all that, but she finds her own way out. You know, she's still, oh my God, is it time?
What are you possibly going to connect?
It's a conspiracy theory within
I saw
the
that
movie.
look in Casey's eye, like, don't you fucking dare.
But the idea that she doesn't let that blockage stop her from getting out of where she is.
She had too much cheese.
She doesn't let,
Blockage is not going to stop a woman. We have things to get done, okay?
Eat that cheese, girl.
That's right. Eat that cheese, girl.
That's the tagline for this movie.
Eat that cheese, girl.
Cheese.
So anyways,
I'm going to now, I said I was overthinking it. Now I'm standing by it. That scene is supposed to symbolize her choosing her own path and not needing the fucking Green Man to symbolize her rebirth, because she's going to fucking grow from that shit regardless and break the fucking cycle that we were talking about earlier of what the Green Man represents.
Now everything you just said, I can't stop relating that to her just eating cheese. It's not going to stop her. She's going to do it.
That's the post-credit scene. That's when Casey and I were like, this movie's crazy. That's what we were referring to. She fucking eats so much cheese after the credits.
No, it's could never. I could never think somebody eating too much cheese was crazy.
I could eat too much cheese. I can have one cheese too many. I need to come out of.
But we get another flashback to James on the fence, how he landed. So gross.
It gives stigmata, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't think about that.
And then
died
it's
for
pierced.
Harper's sins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
dude.
It's like she's still, even the way he dies, she's like, it's all.
I know how James feels right now when he's on that fence.
How?
Okay, if you're easily grossed out, you may want to skip this part.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought this was going to
I was about to be very upset because I thought you were going to say something about, a woman or something.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he feels a little on the fence about his decision.
Oh. I thought you were going to say something about a woman forcing you to do something or something like that. Anyway, go ahead.
No. But one time when I was like in 5th or 6th grade, we were chasing one of our friends just like for fun, whatever. It was like, it was, Dan Rice Days, Casey?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like a festival in our hometown. Like it happened every August for a clown. But anyways, this festival happened all the time, and they had like vendors and stuff. And, they had like, kids have like, they sell like stupid shit, like toy handcuffs and stuff. One of our friends bought some, and they like handcuffed one of our other friends and then took the key and ran away. And we were like, no, get back here. Like, it was just like stupid and whatever. Anyways, we followed them over a chain link fence, and it had rained the previous morning. And I hopped the fence, slipped, and the top of the chain link fence, you know how they like make like whatever, right into my wrist.
Wow.
Right into my wrist. I was, should I stop, Danny? Should I stop or should I keep going?
I just watched a guy give birth to himself through his back. Just go.
I fell on the chain link fence and I hung there.
I remember this
and
story.
It was like on my wrist and I had to like lift up and get it off. And then we no longer were chasing my friend. We were holding my wrist and bleeding through Dan Rice days to get back to my house to be like, Mom, I need to go to the hospital.
Did you live in that house that was at least really close?
Mm-hmm.
There at the time? That's good.
You have a scar.
And I do have a scar, like right here. God. You won't be able to see it on camera, but I can see it. It's like it's like a V. It's like. Anyway, so me and James, although we may not agree, no, let me finish my sentence. Me and James, although we may not agree on our beliefs and tactics towards relationships, one thing that we can connect on is fence posts.
Yeah, good.
Ouch.
Yes. Zach chose one character in this movie to relate to. He chose James.
The worst one.
Just for the record, I hate James. So this next scene was fucking creepy. She is in one of the rooms of the house and she's talking to someone on the phone about her work. And dude is in the background, walking around the yard, freaked me out. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. Did you realize that it was the same guy? Did you know going into this that Rory Kinnear played all the guys?
I read something. I was kind of pissed because I read something like 2 days before I watched it that said something like all the men in the town like have a strange resemblance to Jeffrey or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I saw it in the trailer. I was disappointed.
So I was like, okay, they're all the fucking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think when I watched it, I didn't even watch a trailer for it. And when I watched the movie, I think it took me a while to realize they were all the same person.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing for your brain to just like consider as an option.
To automatically think, that all these men are the same.
Mm-hmm. Because they all look different enough to be like, if you just looked at them, you'd be like, okay, different. But there's like that, clearly there's a similarity because it is the same guy, but they change it just enough where it's like.
And Rory Kinnear is a, professional actor who is in a lot of movies, but he's not so. It's not like if Mel Gibson was playing the part or
right.
Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, well, it's clearly Leonardo DiCaprio in a wig, or Leonardo DiCaprio with fake teeth.
Yeah,
it's clearly Hannibal Lecter with a blonde wig. But what really got me was when he stuck his hand through the fucking mail slot for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh. So fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it later, but when that scene comes back into play and like the camera angles that they take when he's doing that. Oh.
Yeah, the movie's very it has no interest in like protecting your preventing you from seeing. It's not I don't know. It's just disgusting and it doesn't care that it's disgusting. And it likes to promote its disgustingness. The movie is disgusting. I loved it, but it was disgusting.
He should have stuck his wiener through the mail slot.
Yeah.
Helicopter. That's the real layer of the white worm. The mail slot. I will say there is one thing in this movie. I am on Harper's side from beginning to end. Moment. Yeah, but there's one moment where I was like, Harper. And this happens in any horror movie when you're on the phone with someone and something scary happens and you say, can I call you right back? No. Stay on the phone.
Well, she called the police.
But at least say that something's wrong. She called the police. So many movies are like, can I call you back? And it's like, well, your one line of defense has ended. Well, you've just cut it off.
Wait,
no, I guess she does. You're right.
But and this movie also is about her trying to not be scared of men.
Kind of calling out a trope, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Immediately I would be like, there's a
So.
scary man in the fucking yard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to do. But she's like,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
I'll call you back. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Casey, you're right. I guess
But
I
she
didn't
does call
think
the
of it
police.
like that. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
See, subversions of tropes are just
So-
But right after this first, like, this is like the first, like, a quote unquote attack on her when he like comes in. And then we get the flashback of when James steals her phone and he's like seeing who she's texting, and then he punches her in the face. What the hell?
and then still makes her feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's gaslighting her.
He's like, I mean, actually, like, you walked into my fist,
Yeah.
actually. But the cops arrest the scary gentleman from the mail slot. And the one cop.
Yep.
So I want to say there's no women in this village, but that one cop was a woman.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
Maybe
That's
she was
interesting.
that's
out.
probably it.
Yeah, maybe it's one of the, I don't know.
you know, I wonder.
Well, I think so. I think that it's because it's not just men who perpetuate these kind of things, because she says to her, I think he's harmless. So women are responsible too for, because people say that about guys all the time that are not harmless. You know,
That's a great point.
I think it's just a way to show that it's not just men
Yeah,
who
that makes sense.
perpetuate that kind of lie.
We get a real quick glimpse of the male police officer who has a strange resemblance to Jeffrey.
He looks like that guy from 007.
He does look like that guy from 007. Tanner, I think his name is.
Tanner. Yeah, good memory.
But yeah, they just like, it's a real quick, he kind of like looks over his shoulder and then it like, the scene cuts. But she decides that she's going to just like not let it worry her. The cops have the guy. She's going to go on about her vacation. And she goes and she finds the church that Jeffrey had mentioned earlier. And cool little church. It's kind of cozy. Cozy.
Cool little church.
But she sees an altar, pulpit, that has the Green Man on one side. And this is our first really introduction to the Green Man as it is seen in past cultures, not realizing what we have seen already is the Green Man, but in the classic sense of the, you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The classic depiction.
Yeah, classic depiction. Thank you. And on the other side of that sculpture is the Sheila Nagig,
Yes.
which is basically a depiction. It's like a sculpture kind of gargoyle-esque thing, just like the Green Man. But this is of a woman with an exaggerated vulva, usually
Big
like
vagina.
opening that vagina for everyone to see.
Yep.
So they were mostly found in Europe on cathedrals, castles, and other buildings, much like the Green Man.
Interesting.
And a folklorist named Shane Lahane, unfortunate. Sorry, Shane.
Or very fortunate.
Shane Lahane is a folklorist at University College Cork. He said that up until recently, they were seen as figures representing the evils of lust or as ways of averting the evil eye. But more convincing reassessments have interpreted the Sheila Nagig in line with the Kaliak as belonging to the realm of vernacular folk deities associated with the life-giving powers of birth and death. He said, placed with the cycles of both the natural and agricultural year and the human life cycle, she can be regarded as the embodiment of the cycle of fertility that overarches natural, agricultural, and human procreation and death. So
This is why I fucking hate some religions, maybe all, because that's like a great, like beautiful symbolism for someone, you know, it's so natural. But then you have that one line that you said earlier where you said it represents the evils of lust.
Right.
right.
But that's also
We're
women's fault
born
too.
with fucking penises and vaginas to fucking make more people. So like, what the fuck are you so fucking mad about? Like, God, it makes me so, I don't even know what to do with the emotions that I'm feeling because it just doesn't make sense. Why don't
the
priests
sins
get
of the
married?
flesh.
What the fuck are you like? It's the point of life. It almost feels evil.
Well,
it almost feels
hey.
like something evil intercepted what is supposed to be the good, like, religion. Because it all is, we're talking about subversions. That's a fucking subversion, to take the thing that you're celebrating and say that it's evil.
Be careful, because if you go too far on the other end, then you have the people who want a quiver full that have fucking 20 or 30 children and treat them like shit, and they all learn the same bullshit. You know what I mean? So
well, maybe the example that we can leave with is there ain't nothing wrong with your genitals, and life is all about balance.
There ain't nothing wrong with your genitals.
Don't use your genitals
Life
too
is
much.
all about balance. Yeah.
I mean, use them however you want to use them, but don't put them to work, so to speak.
All things
Don't
in
overpopulate.
moderation.
But also don't be afraid to populate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have to say about that. Apologies for being on a fucking high horse. I hate
No,
when I
that's
do that.
okay.
No,
That just-
I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah, we all feel the same way.
Hypocrites.
Mm-hmm. But now we see a flashback again of the aftermath of what happens when James punches her. I'm sorry. The aftermath of what happens when Harper ran into James's
Fists. That's right.
outstretched fist. Yes.
That's right.
There's two sides to this story, Zach.
There's two sides. So we see that she kicks him out. She's like, I don't fucking care what you do.
Yeah.
You want to kill yourself? Great. I'm done. Like, get the fuck out. And in an just, I guess shocking might be the word, but I kind of gasped a little bit when it cuts back to her in the church and she's just fucking screaming.
Yeah.
And just like grabbing the pew and just like shaking it. I was like, oh my God, like let it out, girl.
And
Let it out.
they match her scream with the tone of the music that's playing. Which was really cool. I love the music in this movie.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's fucking, it makes me feel like shit in a good way. You know, like when you're watching a movie, it just feels so dreadful.
That's how religions think about genitals. Makes me feel good in a bad way. Or it makes me feel like shit in a good way.
Yeah.
I do love that though, because that's like where the movie and Harper as a character, that's where like the grounded kind of complexities come into play, because it isn't black and white. You know, what she's feeling is very, you know, she did say something that she's justified if she feels like she should feel a sense of guilt. She is not responsible, but that's not the same thing, you know?
Right.
And I think it's a testament to her being a good person. The fact that she can feel bad about something, but that's not the same as saying that she is responsible for it happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is what James was taking advantage of, was this is a person who is empathetic and sympathetic. And he basically weaponized that for his own sake and tried to destroy her life.
She was put in an impossible situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that's just good writing. That's a good character. So that when she does ultimately, you know, by the end kind of get through all the tribulations and horror, we see her coming out of it. She's just as decent as a person as she was, but she's able to at least recognize that she's not responsible for what happens.
Right. Well, speaking of that, like here she meets the vicar. Well, first she meets Samuel.
Yeah.
The fucking weird boy man person.
What's with the mask?
With the woman mask.
Does that mean anything?
Well, it's like the only woman in the town.
Yeah.
I mean, minus the police officer.
Is he like mocking women?
I don't know.
Is it? I think it's a Marilyn Monroe mask.
Is it? Because later he puts it on the crow.
Yeah.
And oh my God, this movie, you guys. There's so much. I know. It really is like just symbolism on symbolism on symbolism on symbolism. And I'm not sure if I understand all of it. So.
Oh no, I definitely don't. That's why I wanted to watch it a third time. But yeah. Meets James, who I think is the representation of immaturity in men.
That
Samuel.
makes so much sense.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yes, sorry, Samuel.
Yeah.
Samuel is the representation of
Also
immaturity.
James.
Well, yeah, but because Samuel is clearly a teenager and
Totally.
is a little asshole. So
He's like, you want to play hide and seek? No, you bitch.
you bitch.
And then even so the vicar shows up, right? Also Rory Kinnear. And he's like, this is one thing that stuck out to me where he was like, she doesn't want to play. She said no. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know if he said like, I'm sure she'll play later or maybe she'll play later or something like that. Like that's another thing of like a dude just kind of like, she'll do it later. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And like, I don't know if that was very like prevalent in the thing, but I caught on to that. I was like,
I think they did
don't tell her what she's going to fucking do. She doesn't want to play hide and seek. She doesn't have to play hide and seek. Go fuck yourself, Vicar.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything when he's coming on to her later and she's saying no.
In the bathroom?
It's like the kid was saying, she was saying no to the kid and he was like, go on, kid, get away from here. She said no, but.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just empty words. And that's what I love about these characters, like we were talking about with Jeffrey, how you have the kind of how they're presented as, like you said, the nice guy. It's like these archetypes of men, the immature boy, the
vicar
nice
is
boy.
the pervert,
but that's one side. But the way that I feel like a lot of people will view a vicar is, wisdom and safety, so that he can touch her leg when he's talking to her. And even Harper doesn't quite read that as, offensive or crossing a line.
I was waiting
because
for her
we
to
are
react
sold
to
on
that
idea. Yeah.
And then you see like a little squeeze. He like squeezes her leg. I was like, ew.
It's just abuse. Yep. It's so on the nose but it has to be, because you have to present it as what it is, which is what's fucked up about the reality of people like that.
But in this scene, he refers to himself as the Swan.
Yeah.
And did you he was reciting like a poem. Did you? Okay. So he refers to himself as the Swan. And during that, he's quoting a poem, Leda and the Swan. And the swan in that poem is a shape-shifted Zeus who took on the form to rape a human woman, not unlike the mysterious entity's apparent goal, which we find out later. Weird. Yeah, because that's what he wants to do later in the bathroom scene. We find him saying basically putting that on her again, being like, you're a woman, and because you're a woman, I have all these sexual fantasies in my head, and it's your fault.
Well, it's like when people say, if there's a dress code, it's like, stop provoking men.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Fucking crazy.
You can't wear spaghetti straps because guys might like it too much.
Teach the men to not be fucking pervs.
Yeah.
God, our world is so cuckoo.
Cuckoo bananas.
Another important thing in this is he asks Harper, he said, well, she tells him that James hit her and struck her. And he was like, hey, fucking guys hit their wives sometimes. It happens. He's like, did you give him a chance to apologize? And it's like, what? And that's when she's just like, go fuck yourself. I'm out of here.
Well, he says, you must wonder why you drove him to it. And she's like,
yeah.
What?
Huh? Fuck the vicar.
And then he feels the bench where her butt was.
Oh, weird. Casey, were you the one who was comparing this movie with Barbie?
Yeah.
You did, right?
What?
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking it really is. It's basically, if you're watching this as someone who has not experienced the world as a woman, this movie and Barbie are basically presenting the experience to you.
Yeah. It's about living in a patriarchy.
Yeah.
As a woman.
Oh.
And you're getting all of the, I mentioned archetypes. You're getting all those archetypes.
Yes.
It has to be so on the nose. And you had said about there being that one female police officer. There only needed to be one because we needed that one example. Right. It's like everything is so actually airtight in what the symbolism is all supposed to be representing.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah. Man, I really need to get on that.
You haven't seen Barbie?
I need to see that. No.
Well,
it's good.
Men's better.
I like them both.
He says, men do strike women sometimes. Not a capital offense.
Oof. You know what's a capital offense? His haircut.
Yeah.
It's not great.
I don't like to judge people based on physical things, but
well, he's an asshole and a pervert, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I wonder so vicars, they're like, it's just like a priest, right?
Yeah, it's just a British version of a fuck.
And so they have like a dress code. They have to wear like a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if they have like, if there's like a handbook for vicars and there's like how they have to wear their hair.
And they have to have a really stupid, weird, like berries and cream bowl cut.
Berries and cream, berries and
British
cream.
In like,
I'm a little vicar who loves berries and cream.
in the British like courts, they wear the those wigs.
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe there's something similar.
Isn't
with
that crazy?
priests.
And they still do that, right?
Okay, I almost caught myself saying cuckoo bananas, but like that's literally cuckoo bananas.
It's very strange. They're playing
Like guys,
they're playing dress up.
That's the tradition you held on to. that thing.
They like to play dress up when they fucking choose the fate of people's lives. We're gonna have a little fun while we're doing it.
Imagine someone telling you you're gonna be like put to death by a guy wearing a George Washington wig.
I wonder
George
if there's
Washington, like it mattered. Like in Britain, they're not going to call it a George Washington wig.
So
Wrong
I
country.
just said King George.
Like in Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street, when they're like, "Oh, Fred Krueger got set free because somebody didn't sign in the right spot or whatever on a fucking paper."
Yeah.
Do you think like in those courts, like someone gets like sentenced to death and then they're like, "Oh, never mind, you're actually free because dude wasn't wearing his fucking wig."
He wasn't wearing his wig, so it's not official.
It's not official.
So,
I mean, for it to be such a requirement, then it must have some sort of hold on like official decisions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why wear it? I would just come in and be like, they'd be like, "Joffrey, why aren't you wearing your King George wig?" I'm like, this is stupid. We're dealing with like a murderer of children.
It's in the washing machine. I forgot to put it in the dryer.
What if you like accidentally like got it wet? So like you got rid of the curls and it like, so then you go to like,
that's what his hair looks like. It looks like he had a fucking wig on and then the fucking got wet.
Maybe that's why he's a vicar. He used to be a lawyer and he got disbarred because his wig lost its curls. So he turned to God.
but he still wears it.
Backstory there. Out of shame, because that's what religion is.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, so Harper gets pissed, rightfully so, and she takes off, and then he like, I think someone mentioned this earlier, and then he like feels the fucking bench where her butt was.
Zach, he fingers
Yummy.
it.
Oh yeah, he fingers the bench.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't sniff it. Nasty old man.
He gets on his knees to sniff it. She comes back. She's like, "Oh, by the way, I meant to," and he's like, just sniffing bench.
And he says, "Onions? Onions and
God.
ketchup?"
Oh God. You said you're like, he's just sniffing bench. I think that's like a insult. Like, go sniff bench.
Go sniff bench.
Not if you're a vicar.
Not if you're a vicar.
That's what they do.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, and then you guys, this is where we go back to that. We're not sure who he is yet at this point, but he's the naked stranger who got arrested. And now he's he's like in this little cave kind of thing. And he's like putting a leaf in his fucking forehead.
This is where he
makes
we
like
first see,
paper cut.
This is where we first see that he's turning into the Green Man.
Yeah. Did you guys know, like, so when you saw this part, did you know that he was the Green Man because of this?
No, the first time, no.
I didn't know enough about the Green Man at the time.
Okay.
I I imagine that there was something supernatural, and they kept, because the right before that they have that one shot of the deer carcass in the woods with the dandelion fruit falling in the eye, and I assumed we were kind of touching on the theme of rebirth.
Yes,
because kind of like nature kind of is repurposing the corpse, and then to go from that to him, I was like, okay, there's a transformation happening with nature. Okay, I didn't know specifically what he was doing.
Yeah. And so that's like, is that like the first image of the dandelion, which we come back to later?
We get a couple. I think we get one. I know we get one when she's coming out of the tunnel and we see it like kind of coming at her.
She swallows one of them.
But yeah. Do we get one like in the opening shot, or am I crazy? Why do I remember like a dandelion falling like fairly early?
Maybe. Like during the opening credits?
Let's pull it up.
I thought so. I'm almost positive.
Because I do want to talk about the symbolism of the dandelion, but we can actually do it later because it makes a little bit more sense when we see it again, when he kind of like blows it in her face. And so we'll talk about it when we get there. But
okay.
So the bit where he's putting the leaf in his head, that comes before the pub scene when the police officer says that they let him go.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's the next scene is the pub.
Yeah.
Which I was going to ask, would you consider the pub scene sort of like the midpoint? Because that's where we get all the men.
I think so.
Congregating.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're all the same. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is weird. Something's
But
wrong.
I love how they do it, where it's like they all look the same, but they're so, it's like they're like slightly different that you have to like really look and be like, wait a second.
They're also not really focusing on them a lot either, other than like the cop and stuff. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Right. Yeah, you have to like.
Because I was even wondering it from her perspective. Again, like, I don't know if, again, we're watching this movie knowing who the actor is.
Yeah.
So you'll find like certain, like we're a little more familiar with it or with his face.
Right.
Whereas I was wondering, are we supposed to believe that she just doesn't see the difference at all? Or that maybe she's, for lack of a better word, under, not a spell, but like some sort of like spell where she can't tell the difference.
I mean, they could just be like, like brothers. For all she knows,
that's fair.
The people in the bar could all be like a family or.
And that
something.
could be like, we were talking a lot about how like this movie is just like symbolism on top of symbolism.
Yeah.
There could be this idea of small towns, sort of that inbred quality of,
what the fuck?
Not
Danny?
Literally inbred. What?
Me and Casey come from Albion and Girard, respectively.
Have you guys seen where I come from? No, but it's that idea of like it's just cultures in general of like being the, outside of the big city is this, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not making this up.
No,
it's a very common theme.
I'm just giving you a hard time. So this part, Harper goes back to the Harper gets pissed at the pub because number one, like
pissed, like angry, or pissed in like British talk where she's drunk.
I don't think she drank too much.
Remember,
to get
it's
pissed.
a British movie, Zach.
She gets
miffed.
She gets miffed. Not only because like they let him go, they let the stalker go, but also because the way that they're like treating her because she's a woman. Like she's starting to like pick up on that. So she goes back home and she starts texting. She calls Riley, right?
Jeffrey also refuses to let her pay for her drinks at the bar.
Oh, yeah. So that's part of like that whole thing. Like she's like, no, let me pay for it. And he's like, no. And then
it's part of his nice guy.
He gets his way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're all trying to make her doubt herself. No matter what she says, they can justify every action. Like, no, look at it this way. No, your
it's part of the blame.
Is totally wrong.
Yeah.
Which is such a, so going back to Jeffrey and his manners that probably go too far.
Yeah.
You could look at that like he was just trying to be a good host. And then on the other hand, it's kind of like opening the door for women, where some can take that as like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm just like, the equality, like, oh my God, all this sounds so terrible the way I'm saying it. But do you get it? Like,
yeah, so
I'm not doing this because I think you can't open the door yourself. I'm just doing it to just be kind.
Well, there's a fine line between chivalry and going against what someone else wants. Like, if it's just as much her prerogative to be like, I don't need that. I've spent my whole life kind of dealing with guys trying to treat me like I'm a lesser than.
So, being the woman here,
Casey,
let me speak,
let us finish.
Please.
Let us finish.
The men are talking. Casey, the men are talking.
So on one hand, it is the independence part. I don't need you to pay for my things. I don't need you to carry my bags in. I can do those things myself. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean whatever. Sure, of course. If you offer and somebody says no, I mean, it's not rape, obviously, but no means no. Okay. I don't want you to pay for my things, first of all. Second, being a woman, one thing that I have experienced is that most men, by being nice like that, they expect something from you.
Sure.
So,
oh, that's a great point.
Even if it is just bringing in your shit, buying your drinks, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, she let me buy her drinks. So, whatever. Like, you can't just be fucking friends with a guy without them expecting something from you. So then when they go to the next step of like, paying for your things, paying for drinks.
Like he's holding it over on her.
Yeah. I mean, when I lived in Florida, did you guys ever go to iBar?
It sounds familiar. I feel
so
like
so familiar. Every Wednesday night they would have Grits and Gravy, which was like older music. They played all kinds of stuff. So they played like stuff they played like the Time Warp, but they also played Elton John and the YMCA and like just a bunch of 80s and 90s music. And it was a bunch of like alternative people. So it's just a lot of fun. So we used to go there on Wednesdays. And I remember this one night, this guy asked if he could buy me a drink. And I said, no, thank you. And he said, okay, have a good night. And then, that was the only guy that's ever done that. Okay. Because everybody else and I don't even drink alcohol. So no, you can't buy me a drink, not just because I don't want to talk to you, but I also don't drink alcohol. So everybody else is, oh, let me buy you a drink. No, I'm okay. No, come on, let me buy you a drink. Well, no, I don't even drink. Well, let me buy you a soda. No, I don't want to talk to you. Is it not like, how are you not getting that when I say no?
They're not entitled to your company or your, you don't. It's so irritating.
Well, as men, we can't have this conversation.
Oh, yeah, because you don't experience it.
Because we don't experience it. And so
because you're not on the other end of it.
I will say as a gay man.
I was going to say Danny probably has.
I had a guy stop me on the street. He was clearly high on drugs. He's like, yo, come here. Let me eat your fucking ass.
I was going to say, can I suck your dick?
Okay, I was like, you guys can talk about it.
No, for the record, I'm going to say, I can't even imagine what a woman must have to go through. I'm positive I have not had nearly the amount of experiences.
It's funny. Personally. It's funny too, because
I'm just being funny.
For me, I think I'm a lot different than a lot of women, and not in a better way or anything like that. I'm just like a lot less. I don't care as much about that stuff. You know, like when guys hit on me, I'm like, yeah, get out of here. But I don't get like, I'm not like upset about it or offended by it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. So even for me to talk about it, it's a little bit like, I don't know. But I can understand obviously why other women care. I just have never, just.
I think it's just a case of reading the room. We were talking about the difference between, holding the door open for someone to be nice, but then also understanding that if someone doesn't want to engage with you, that's also their right.
Right.
Just because you did, and this I think applies to anything, just because you do something nice for someone, you shouldn't ever expect anything in return.
No.
Right.
And this especially applies to someone that you're potentially trying to woo or impress. It's like, dude, take the first hint and back off. Like,
men can't.
You are owed
no offense,
nothing.
Guys.
No, well,
you know what? You know what really grinds my gears?
What really grinds your gears, Zach?
And this is Danny. This is you saying, even though we'd be nice to people, we can't expect them to do whatever like we're thinking. Would I hold the fucking door open for somebody, whether it be a man, a woman, a kid, a grandma, whatever?
You expect them to say thank you, don't you?
I want them to say fucking thank you.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
And when they don't, I get so pissed.
And that's where it gets complicated, because then we have layers. And then it's all about like circumstances, and
that's about
if
being
you're being
polite.
a creep, totally, But it's
okay.
I will say though, even if no one ever says thank you, we should always hold the door open.
Yeah,
because we got to be that slice of light, slice of light, slice of light.
Yeah,
that beacon of light, beacon of hope, that light of hope, that hope light.
We'll get there.
Okay, so Harper leaves the pub in a fury. And does she call Riley, or do they just text? She calls Riley, and Riley's like, I'm coming over and I'll use that axe. And she's like, what axe? And she's like, the axe that's behind you. And it's like, oh shit. And then she
Chekhov's axe in the back. You know, the one from Axe 1.
Yes. Will be used in the third axe. Sorry.
You guys. So
Riley's like, we are in the midpoint. We should set up the weapons by now. In the false hope of this call of me coming to help you.
Oh my God. So Harper finally gives in and is like, Riley, yes, you can come stay with me. That's great. And she goes to send her the message, and it won't go through because that fucking weird signal again, which is
so frustrating.
What is that? What is that? Is that just like earlier he set up? He's like, the reception's bad. But then she
this
gets
may be
it on
the
her
laziest
phone.
answer to your question, but it could be a thing of like, because this is all about the power of nature, that technology like kind of has no chance of, you know, nature is just like, nope, like you can't even break through this thing that I got going on here.
Gotcha. Oh,
that is not the laziest answer. I think I have the laziest answer, which is just that they wanted the reception to be terrible, so she can't fucking get a hold of anybody to help her or leave. You know,
that's fair.
Unless they want it to happen.
But that's the thing. Like the reception isn't terrible until she's trying to tell her where she is.
Right.
So it's almost like, okay, so for my argument's sake, like say nature as a force, as this entity, it's like nature understands movie tropes. It's like it knows that reception doesn't work. So I'm going to play into that. And you wouldn't realize I'm there because you just associate that with like a common trope. But
talk about meta.
I don't know if the Green Man has seen that many movies. He does have a lot of time on his hands. I will say
cut to him like in his little cave sewing fucking leaves into his forehead, and he's like watching the fucking like fucking Batman Returns on his fucking little TV.
What does Batman Returns have to do with anything?
I just picked a movie.
I thought you did it because he's like relating to the scene where Selena Kyle transforms into Catwoman, and he's like, she's sewing her clothes, and he's like sewing leaves into his head.
You got there quick.
Well, I was thinking that you were going to say Poison Ivy, and then I was going to correct you that that's Batman Forever.
That would have made so much more sense. Do you know I went through a phase after Batman Forever came out where I would only like to order salads from fast food because I wanted to be Poison Ivy.
What?
So I would just eat greens and leaves.
How fucking old were we?
We were young. That was like 90.
I mean, we were. I didn't know when you watched it.
You used to get the fucking
1995.
the fucking salads from McDonald's that used to come in a cup and you had to shake them.
Okay, well,
Poison Ivy.
Am I the Green Man?
But this is when when Harper sees the policeman outside standing by the tree.
A great sequence,
dude.
The rest of this movie is just
this is where it's
unhinged.
Yeah,
cuckoo
bananas. And so she goes to approach the police officer who is not responding to her, and she just keeps walking closer to him, being like, "Hey, what do you want?" Be like, "Fuck you, stay inside." Yeah. But then he like is this when the lights start to go off, like the motion sensor lights, and they come back on and he's gone.
Yep.
Right. And the tree, the big apple tree, starts shaking and all the apples start falling down.
And then it just becomes a free-for-all where it seems like all, if not most, of the men that she saw at the pub are now trying to attack her and come into the house. Because you see like that, the douche nozzle guy, like the bro-y dude, the soccer fan or the football fan.
He runs towards her.
For those locals. Yeah.
Like he runs at her. But I love, it's so cool because like he doesn't just run, he doesn't have like a straight path. He has to like go around this little like roundabout bush thing. Right. And it was just really, I don't know, it was just like a little detail that I thought was cool because like you hear him like running on the stone, the loose stones in the driveway. But then like when you see him, he has to like go around the bush. I don't know. It was just,
he's very polite.
Cool. But yeah, so all the men kind of attack the house and one breaks through the fucking kitchen window and is Jeffrey like at the door?
But is that before or after the crow? Because
Well, he
someone
comes
breaks
in,
but you realize it's...
He comes in after the crow.
He comes in
that's
and
right, 'cause
once
he breaks
he's
the
searching
neck.
for, he's like, okay, I'll see who's in here. And then he comes around the corner and it's just, then you see it's just like a bird.
oh, that's right.
And then, yeah, like you said, he breaks its neck.
DoesTheBirdDie.com.
DoesTheBirdDie.com. And so, yeah, Jeffrey goes and he's like, I'll go look and see who is around, who's in the outside. But before he goes out there, he says something about like being in his dad saying he was like a failed military person. What did he say?
He said, you have precisely the qualities of a failed military man. That's it.
Wow.
Which again is like reinforcing that like
Father told
masculine,
me that.
like men, you know.
I was only 7 years
you're
old.
not tough enough. Yeah.
Time we showed him what's what, eh?
There's the
you got
Jeffrey
it all.
impression we were looking for.
Jeffrey's impression is more
oh, please.
it's more like that. You know what I mean? It sounds like it's talking through his teeth. You know.
Yeah, what is it?
Like he's doing
It's
this
almost like can you
all the time.
it's like you almost it's so hard to do it without false teeth. Because it's like talking forward, like oh well done, Jeffrey. But like it's all quite
Yeah, you have precisely the qualities of a failed military man.
yes.
Father told me that. I was only 7 years
There
old.
you go.
Just time we show him what's what, eh?
But then Jeffrey goes outside and the lights do their thing and he disappears. And then we are introduced to the stranger again. He's not fully the Green Man. He's got like quite a few leaves and roots,
He's
right?
looking a little rough.
He's as green as you can be without being the Green Man.
Yeah, basically.
But he starts like approaching Harper and then he blows the dandelion into her face. And there's like lots of dandelion bits, right? But guys, get this. Dandelions reproduce asexually through a process called parthenogenesis, which means that all dandelions are clones of an initial specimen.
Oh.
So that's going to come into play here
That's men.
in just like,
Interesting.
yeah.
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 Men, they're all the same. Just like dandelions.
Says this is a clue to the nature of the men in the village who are all played by
Okay,
the same actor.
Very cool.
That's really cool.
Which I thought was really neat.
Next is the one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
The fucking mail slot again.
Yeah.
The scary man, the stalker, scary greenish man,
We will not call him the Green Man yet.
Until he's green.
so the scary man sticks his hand back through the mail slot and Harper decides to just fucking stab him right through the hand I guess like the wrist,
The forearm.
right?
Yeah,
Forearm. Thank you. We'll just move up the fucking arm until I get it right.
Beneath the elbow, between the elbow and the wrist.
And dude
It's the
fucking
forearm.
starts pulling his hand back out. Oh my God. And his hand splits
It's
open.
Yeah.
awful.
It's amazing.
That was fucking crazy.
It's amazing.
And the way they shot it was so cool from like underneath and all that. Oh my God.
That's the thing this movie does, especially in this, like in like the third act. It just holds on the grossest visuals.
Yeah, sure
Where
does.
like in most movies, it's like you get that shock value, and then you cut away and digest it. And this one just makes you sit with it.
Yeah.
Ooh, almost like, guys, like grief. Grief doesn't go away, and it's pretty grotesque.
She don't.
And horrible.
Nope.
No, she don't. Guys, is there significance of the male villain in this movie getting destroyed through the male slot?
Wouldn't the male slot be the butthole?
Oh God.
Well, the male slot is the butthole. The male slit is the pee hole. But the male slot is where you get the male, and the male slit is where the male's arm gets slit through the slot. The male
yeah, yeah, of course.
I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit.
So you know that this is one of James's injuries, right?
Oh, that's right.
Did we get
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I actually don't know if I was fully conscious of that.
So that's one of them.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, this was because he fell on the fence and it split like right through his arm.
Right.
So Harper decides to run into the kitchen, and there we see, you know why she goes into the kitchen? Because she hears like a scratching.
This is
She
my
hears like
least favorite
this
part of the movie.
scraping.
Why?
And it's...
Real monster here. That's
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, that sound, yeah.
Talk about holding on like grotesque visuals. The sound, it never lets up in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even think about it.
But that's what I love it because it's so uncomfortable.
I know.
And
I wouldn't change it for anything.
the character. It's Samuel, the boy man child, with that woman mask, with the, I think it's what we said, it was a Marilyn Monroe mask on the dead bird, just like not swinging it back and forth, just like shifting it back and forth,
Scraping.
and it's making that god awful noise. So then one of the pub guys comes back in, one of the creepy pub men, and he chases her upstairs into what I thought was a bedroom, but I guess it's the bathroom.
Yes.
With like the tub in the middle there.
Yeah.
And she like locks the door, but then just like gives up, kind of. She kind of just like retreats to the back of the room, and the door slowly opens, and now it's the fucking Vicka. It's the Vicka again.
Vicka.
And he's just so calm and collected and creepy as fuck.
And we are establishing the fact that in case there was any, uncertainty around the subject, he also has his arm split up. So it is confirming without a shadow of a doubt.
Because
they
Samuel
are, in
did
fact,
too.
The same.
Oh, yes. Thank you
right.
for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Samuel, and we see
That's
that
right.
they have the same
I forgot.
split arm.
Yeah.
And when it's so disorienting because when he lifts, especially when Samuel does it at first, he lifts his arm up and you just see it's like this. It almost looks like another hand, but it's split in such a way. It reminds me almost like of The Thing. Like the way like their limbs will just kind of like split apart. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Speaking of The Thing, I saw John Carpenter on Stephen Colbert. It was like I don't know when this clip was from, but it was from whenever he was on. And he says he does know who is the Thing at the end.
Yeah, he's just not telling us.
He just doesn't say it. But that actually brings up a good point about this movie, is that I read Alex Garland doesn't know if James fell or jumped.
Oh,
because he says that Harper's character doesn't know, and so he never came up with an answer, because he doesn't know either, because Harper doesn't know.
I like that,
which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But here we are in the bathroom with the vicar and Harper.
Best place to be with a vicar.
Oh my God. Ugh. And he does this very, I guess, stereotypical, maybe that's not the right word, but thing where he's just like, because you exist and you're a woman and you're just there, I automatically have all these sexual fantasies of you in my head.
You automatically give me a boner.
And I'm not allowed to have sex because I am a man of the Lord. and you're a woman who's giving me these thoughts. So you're to blame.
Yeah.
Yeah. He specifically says, this is the power you exert.
That's right.
You know, he puts everything on her. It's that we talked about this earlier, but it's that classic don't provoke, don't wear short skirts or don't wear revealing clothes because you're going to provoke the men.
Mm-hmm. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
I feel like so many people on this planet, there really is a solid portion who are genuinely like forward thinking. Yeah. And they just want to like evolve and grow and like see what humanity is capable of. And there are some people who I try so hard to give the benefit of the doubt, but then I realize that there are truly like scumbuckety people out there who are genuinely awful.
Yeah, I'm not giving them an excuse, but honestly, I've learned in my old age that scummy people are also really not intelligent.
Yeah.
So they don't understand, which is not an excuse. You know, they can learn, but they don't understand why the things that they do or the things that they say or the way that they feel. Yeah. And it is an opinion, but it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down to like we make jokes about how the real monster is capitalism. Yeah. Well, I would say the real monster. I'm not trying to jump ahead, but it's just like the way that our country, and I'm picking on our country because that's the country I live in, it's the relationship with education and like how little attention we give education compared to other countries. Yeah. And how if we could, and almost as though like the powers that be benefit from dumber. Yeah.
They absolutely do.
Absolutely do. Yeah.
And that is so sad and depressing. Mm-hmm. And that we've gotten to a point where people are so accustomed to us being so undereducated that we're not like compelled to do anything about it. And there's that percentage of people who do care is just getting smaller and smaller. Yeah.
And that even goes to the workforce. They want you to be dumb because they don't even want you to understand that they're taking advantage of you. You know what I mean? They don't want you to understand that what the way that they're treating their employees isn't right.
Yep. It puts you in a desperate situation where it's like, well, now I need to make certain ends meet, so I don't have the luxury of questioning certain things or the luxury of. It's really fucked up.
It is because
it makes me really sad just thinking about it.
You know, and like I've gotten to the point where like my last job, I was there for 6 years and I was very passionate about everybody being treated correctly. And I was very passionate about people, you know, it's like the rights of the employees. And I would get into fucking arguments with my bosses all the time and I would scream at them. And I never got in trouble for it, but I was always an advocate for that. And I was always trying to be better. And if I would hear, even if one of the employees said something stupid, this girl said to me one day, I'm bisexual, right? So I was in the kitchen with this other girl that was a lesbian and another girl that is pansexual. And this other girl says, why do they get a gay pride parade? Why isn't there a straight pride parade? And I fucking lost my shit. Right. And I went off on this girl. And then every other time after that she tried to talk to me, I would literally tell her, I don't want to like you any less. I need you to leave. Like, don't talk to me. And it's sad, but now I've gotten to the point where if people are saying things like that, I'll ask them to not, because I don't want to listen to them. But I don't stand up for employees anymore, like, because I can't put my job at risk anymore. I can't afford, 100%. You know, and of course, if they were to terminate me or something like that wrongfully, there are steps that I could take, but it's so hard, you know?
But that gets in the way of your lifestyle and the things you need to do to survive. Right. So, and that's the system. It makes it so much, it just gives you so much more work to do that people are like you're saying. I mean, I'm kind of just talking over you now.
No.
You just said it where it's like,
it makes me feel like shit.
Man. I don't have the luxury. I don't have the time to take care of myself. So I'm just going to continue. Yeah, being bullied. Yeah.
It's not a great feeling.
The only way to get through to the small percentage of people who are ultimately bullying us into submission is to suffer these losses. It's just really sad. And that's why I love movies like this that are so blatant about kind of what they're trying to say. You know, sometimes, you know, there's like subtextual things and those work just as well. But sometimes you have to kind of hit it hard. Like, no, why are you making a point? Like, this is serious. Like, we need to talk about this.
Originally, when I watched this movie,
Come on, Jeffrey.
Shut up.
He keeps coming through. He's taking over. He's possessing you.
The power of Jeffrey compels you. So, originally when I watched this movie the first time, that was part of what I really liked about it. Obviously, there are some other things like with the dandelion that you explained, but for the most part, it is very obvious what's being said. And I do like that. You don't have to like go look into anything crazy to understand it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm listening. My cat's just being really cute.
Casey, you're not listening. You're the one talking.
Look how cute he is. Shut up.
Casey stops to take a picture of the cat.
He's so cute.
I'm listening.
It is.
She forgot she was talking.
I just was talking about how much I like the movie. I know what I was saying. Okay, so let's move on then. So everything is Harper's fault, and then she stabs him.
Wait, hold on. What? Everything's Harper's fault.
He's saying that everything is her fault. His lust for her.
I thought that was like the conclusion you came to. You're like, Jeffrey's really taking over you. He's really possessed. You're like, it's Harper's fault. Moving on. No need to explain what I've just said.
So she stabs him in like the abdomen, and Jeffrey, I believe, has an injury there too after he's fallen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
one good thing is she is weakening them by just having to fight off one, but
but
okay. So this is a part that I was confused by, and not so much confused, but maybe there's some interpretation here. When she stabs him and then she runs out the door. And they show you that scene like 3 or 4 times, and it's different each time. Mm-hmm. Like one time she's kind of like walking out the door. One time she's running and she grabs the keys. The other time she's like...
She falls in one of them.
Does she fall? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You missed that, Danny?
I've seen this movie twice. How have I not? What?
Well, yeah, it just happens one right after the other. Like they just like cut. Oh. Yeah, Casey's going to show you right here. So she runs out. She's running by the apple tree, slow motion, looks like. And then there she comes again, but it's different. Oh. This time she runs to the car. Okay, well, that could have been the same scene here. Okay, here she's just kind of standing there looking at the knife, I think.
What?
And now here she's crawling. And so I don't understand what the meaning of this is.
I don't know either.
I mean, the whole movie is playing with like the idea of like cycles, and we're about to see one of the really big cycles, and like rebirth. So that could also be, I don't know, like symbolizing. Maybe it's her considering how she could have gotten away, but nothing really substantial happens. And like,
because
there aren't huge difference. It's not like she fucks up during one.
Yeah, she always makes it to the car.
Yeah, she gets to the car and she drives away and hits Jeffrey.
Ouch. Oh, couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
So no matter how she left the house, she still gets to the car. She still steals it. And she hits she hits Jeffrey over here. Yeah. She hits Casey over here with the car. And Jeffrey is like, now he's pissed.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, you see his arm that's just like everybody else's, and you're like, oh my God, Jeffrey, not you too.
Not you too, Jeffrey.
And he pulls out of the car and steals the car and takes off. And you're just like, where's he going? Like, what's he doing? But he comes back and tries to run her down. Mm-hmm. And ends up crashing the car in the process.
Yeah.
And so she kind of runs back into the yard and she turns around and is it Jeffrey that shows up initially? Oh no, oh my God. It's the green man.
Yeah.
It's the official.
It's the official reveal of the full-fledged green man.
OG. Mm-hmm. Old green.
And he's kind of stumbling towards her. And like, this is where his belly gets real big.
Yeah.
Well, first he really takes, you were talking about how when she cuts his hand, it becomes James's wound, but then his leg breaks.
Yep.
Or does his leg break first?
His ankle
so it's
breaks.
just like James.
Yeah.
And then
his belly gets real big. Oh my God. Did you ever see Leprechaun 2?
Yeah. With the gold, the pot of gold.
The pot of
Awful.
gold in the guy's stomach.
Oh.
Oh
That
my
haunted me.
God. And then it rips open. Oh my God.
Isn't the leprechaun in a cage and he's like forcing him? He's like, I'll make a wish.
Yeah.
And he wishes for the gold.
And then so yeah, just like in Leprechaun 2, his belly gets really big.
Yeah.
And he kind of falls over. And guys, what happens?
Oh, he gives birth.
He gives birth to a full-size
himself.
man. To himself. To a full-size man.
Oh,
This is going to be gross. I love how they're all steamy when they come out.
Oh, yeah.
ew. Yeah.
I do. I love how
Steaming
they're all
pile
steamy.
of man.
So apparently this scene took like a week to shoot.
Oh. man.
All
I
night
thought it would at least
in
be
the
9
cold.
months.
Shut the fuck up, Danny.
Lame.
And a little bit about birth.
Yes. Okay. So who comes out first?
Samuel comes out first.
Okay. Oh. So that's the smallest one.
Yeah.
And then the smallest one gives birth to a bigger one.
Maybe they get older. Is the priest the last one? Although I can't
No,
tell.
James
if
James
he's
is the
James
last
is the
one.
last
wearing
one.
that. Oh, James.
Yeah, he might
That's
just be
right.
wearing his wig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he might be the youngest.
But I think it's Jeffrey is the one that gives birth to James.
Yeah, I think so.
That would make sense because he's sort of the one we're introduced to.
Yeah. They're kind of like not so much they're not like violent. They're not like trying to get her. They're not whatever. Now they're kind of like basically like help me. Like just like a baby, like mom.
Well, of course, like they're looking to the woman here to be like, fix this, make me feel better.
Yeah.
Samuel gives birth to the vicar.
Ew. How? Through his
stomach.
Through stomach? Okay.
The top of his stomach.
Doesn't it go stomach, stomach, back,
Well, no, it's vagina.
mouth?
It's grundle.
Danny, babies are not babies don't grow in the vagina or the stomach. They grow in the uterus.
Oh, they go in the butt.
Samuel is born from where a vagina would be.
So you see him under his like nutsack? Why didn't they have him? I bet someone at one point they were like, "Can we do the penis like opening up?"
Oh,
and they
my
were like,
God.
"We can't do it."
Oh, that's so disgusting.
I know. Is that how Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby in Junior?
Yeah.
Take. I started laughing. Take it. I can't do it. Just keep laughing. Can't happen.
And then so then the vicar's back splits open, right? Is that because now they're like in the house and
that's where the vagina normally is.
Yes.
Okay.
So why is this even happening?
So if the green man represents rebirth, and we talk a lot about how nature is all about cycles and like the continuing nature of things being perpetuated. And then we were talking about toxic masculinity as a very like broad theme, like that covers a lot of ground in this. So it feels like, and now this is like the most simple takeaway of this, but it's among other things. So it's like the rebirth of grief, the rebirth of all of this, but it is a rebirth of like what these men represent, this idea of toxic masculinity, this continuing cycle of things never changing. Because no one really does anything about it. And when you think about, the behavior that we've been talking a lot about this episode with toxic masculinity, it's sort of just, it's inherited, it's the idea of like nurture versus nature.
Oh yeah.
No one ever cuts that cycle or stops it. It's just constantly happening. And then the victims, in this case, represented by Harper, in a lot of cases, women, they have to contend with it. They have to deal with it. They are the forced, quote unquote, victims of this vicious cycle.
We have to watch these giant man babies be born.
100%. That, I mean, you put, that's a great, man babies. Like, they're literally man babies. Like, that's what I love about this movie. It is so on the nose. Like, they're just like, no, we're not going to beat around the bush, or beat around his bush. We're just gonna open it up and
James is a breech baby.
Yeah. So James.
Oh, yeah.
So the vicar, his back kind of splits open and gives birth to Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey like hawks up a hairball, but it's like a foot.
Yep.
And
hacks up hairy balls.
Hacks up some hairy balls. And James like comes out of his mouth backwards.
Feet first.
Oh my God.
Oh,
it's so cool.
The scene when the vicar gives birth to Jeffrey, he just like slides out of him. Just slides all goopy out of him. And then the vicar behind him just like falls over, and it's just
ew, dude. The fucking
effects,
the special effects in the scene,
so good.
Were awesome, just completely amazing.
You know, because you watched a baby be born.
Do people talk about this movie? Like, this is like one of those. This is like truly astounding, like in terms of like the horror genre. And
I think so.
Never had like a conversation about this movie, really.
I know. Not enough people have watched it. I mean,
right.
I think I've urged probably 4 or 5 people to watch it. They've all watched it. So, but I don't think they loved it as much as I did.
God, it's so cool.
Yeah. It is really good. But so James is the final form of this cycle.
Oh, and while we're talking about this, I did just want to point one thing out. I forgot I had this note because we were talking about like what this symbolizes. Rory Kinnear, who plays all the men in this movie, he was quoted as saying that the rebirth, he said it represents the rebirth people need after grief.
Oh, well.
So I think the idea is that, I think there are supposed to be multiple takeaways. That, I mean, that's my take on it. I don't think it's supposed to be just like cut and dry.
Sure.
Obviously, like, that's the role that he's playing, so of course, like, that's what he's probably going to lead with.
Yeah.
But that's where I stand. I think it represents kind of a whole shitload of shit.
Of shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so James finally Harper like sits down next to James. He's like on the couch, and she's just like, they're just like talking. She's like, she's seen so much that she's just like, okay, what? And he said that the only thing he wanted was for Harper to love him.
Yeah. Before that, he blames her again.
Oh, okay.
He literally comes into the world just like feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah. He says, he explains like his injuries from the fall, and he says, this is what you did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So got one more in there.
So what do you guys think happened because they never show what happened. She's like holding the axe. But they never say if she uses it.
When he says he just wants your love, she just says, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like fucking titles.
Well, then she goes outside.
Well, yeah, but they play like he says that and then it like goes black.
Oh, do they?
And then it says like directed by Alex Garland, whatever. And then there's like, and then it comes back and Riley is arriving at the manor or whatever. And Harper's sitting outside, and we see that Riley is pregnant.
Yeah.
Which is
bummer.
Yeah. But what if it's a girl?
Still a bummer.
Still a bummer.
She's got to deal with all this shit.
But there's something there. The fact that the one person who's actually unconditionally there for her is a woman who is kind of going through the natural cycle of birth after what we saw, which was a very unnatural cycle of birth. So I feel like there's also something there. I mean, those are the only births I've ever seen, but just for the sake of this conversation, I would say that was unnatural.
But Harper just gives her like a smile, and then the credits come back on, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it, guys.
That's it. That's it. Real simple. So do you guys want to talk about our favorite reveals in Men?
Sure.
What's going on here?
I don't see anything anywhere.
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
This is what I have. The first time we see the man at the house, which turns out to be Jeffrey.
Yes.
He opens the door, and here we are, introduced to Jeffrey. James sitting on the bed while they are in a flashback talking about a divorce, because that's when he's like, if you divorce me, I'll kill myself. And you're just like, fuck you, guy. Right?
Yeah. Fuck you, you guy.
We get the green man at the abandoned buildings / tunnel, I guess. Which, didn't we determine that was Jeffrey in the tunnel? It is
Jeffrey, yeah.
Okay, so that's a different one. So we see Jeffrey in the tunnel, then the green man in the abandoned buildings. Then the green man again when he's like creeping outside her house, looking at the apple tree, trying to find a way in. We get Samuel and the vicar. We get the pub guys and the police officer in the pub. We see I believe we see the stalker again in the cemetery, briefly on her way back from the pub.
Oh. Right.
And then all those different reoccurrences when they start attacking the house.
Yeah.
Then the green man in his full green man garb, right?
Yeah.
And then the rebirth sequence.
Yeah.
So those are all the monster reveals that I counted, that I observed in the film. But I think there is only one that really counts.
I think so too.
Which one? Oh, I think I know. Great.
Yeah. I think it's like the rebirth. Yeah.
I think, yeah. Which I would almost count like the green man and the rebirth, like kind of as one.
Yeah. Because they're the same symbol. Like it's the symbol, he's the symbol of that. So
that whole sequence is like the great. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought that the naked man at the house was being like the first time we see the quote unquote monster of the movie was pretty effective. It was the first like threat. So I really appreciated that. But
it was the first time that we had seen men as a threat. Well,
yeah.
James though.
Oh yeah, and that's true. You know what? I feel like every time we meet a guy, it's creepy, and I think
it is
the most iconic. Yeah, is the green man scene at the end, the birth.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the least expected. I don't think, because when I saw that for the first time, the last thing that I was expecting was for this guy to give birth to a full-grown man. Out his frontal.
It's true though. Like, how many times do you see? How many times do you really see a movie nowadays where you're like mouth open, like genuinely like what?
Oh, I was definitely holy shitting the whole time.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So what a great way to introduce us to our monster of men in this very grandiose. Is that the fucking word? Grandiose fashion. Birth on birth on birth on birth on birth.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
Now it's time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
Okay. Danny, who's your real monster?
I've got a few. I've got people who run the nails down chalkboards.
Oh, yes.
So it's not in the movie, but it reminds me of the crow scratching the table.
Mm-hmm.
I've got men.
You have to use your teeth a little bit more.
So we all have sounds. There's all these sounds like people have, like, nails on a chalkboard, whatever. What is that the sound that gets you the most? That makes you just kind of cringe? 100%.
And I hate it.
Casey, what about you?
And but that I associate also with like styrofoam being rubbed together and like chewing on tinfoil. It's all like the same. I hate it.
Please don't chew on tinfoil.
Oof.
Casey, is there a sound that gets you?
So, I have a lot of little weird auditory things that bother me. Just a lot. In general.
But one that makes you gives you goosebumps, that just makes you kind of go.
Makes your ears bleed.
So the thing, I can't think of a specific one like that, the thing that drives me the most insane is competing sounds. If I'm watching TV and Matt is watching stuff on his phone, I want to scream. If there's more than one person talking to me at a time, I want to scream. So just like competing sounds is what makes me really.
For me, it's
uncomfortable.
Ice. Like if someone bites a fucking popsicle.
I love
or
that. It's so.
I have goosebumps right now. And like, you know, we used to have, when we were growing up, we had ice cube trays and fucking trying to get the ice cubes out of the trays, and you'd have to scratch I'm like so cold, right? I got like fucking goosebumps.
I don't even know what you're
Humans
talking
are
about.
so funny.
Fucking weird.
We are funny.
Okay, so you've got nails on a chalkboard. Who else do you have for your real monster?
Men. Which I just feel like is a given. And also we were talking about, you know, we always talk about capitalism. The education system in this country.
Just throw it in there.
Bums me out.
Yeah.
Really bums me out. Because you think it's like, read a book, learn. What? That should be the fundamental thing, the first thing that we prioritize above everything else, because so much grows from education. You learn so much. You even encourage people to do other things that they would have never.
That's what we were talking about before.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like you said, that's like the higher ups benefit from people being dumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they don't want them to learn, because then they have to work for them.
Yeah.
So.
And personally,
Casey?
I always feel stupid, and I wish I learned more when I was younger. So I'm going to blame everyone else.
Danny, you're a pretty smart gentleman, I have to say.
A pretty smart gentleman.
Give me a math equation.
Casey, who's your real monster?
So normally I had a very interesting experience while watching this movie. Normally when I see something makes me laugh, because mine's always usually a joke, you know. But I there was nothing that jumped out to me that I could call a real monster in this movie, because there wasn't anything that like was silly or bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So mine's really dumb. And I'm just going to say Samuel's tie. Because it was like 4 inches long, and then I was like, maybe it represents a chode. I don't know. So,
I mean,
you know,
I wouldn't put it past this movie.
The length of a man's tie.
Yeah, if men weren't so self-conscious, this world would be a much safer place.
For sure.
Well, okay, this might be a hot take, given that the movie is called Men, but my real monster is Harper.
This is Zach, you have once before had a take that we all question. What was the movie?
Silence of the Lambs. Casey left. Casey's gone.
Oh yeah. Zach said the victim, Buffalo Bill's victim, was the villain, the real monster.
Because she was rude. No, I think you guys might see where I'm coming from when I say this. Harper is the real monster.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Harper is the real monster just for entering somebody else's home as a new guest and putting her half-eaten apple just on the table.
No,
and
that's
just
the
like
dumbest
walking
thing I've
away.
ever fucking heard.
And dude's like, ooh, did you eat an apple? And she was like, yeah, I fucking ate an apple, and
That's
I left
the
half the
stupidest thing I
fucking
ever heard.
apple on your
Would
counter.
you do that at home?
Deal with it. Huh?
If she was at her own home, would she still be a monster for that?
No.
Okay. If she did it at a hotel, would she be a monster?
First of all, who sets
Why-
a fucking half-eaten apple on the counter?
Well, what
If
if
I'm
you
eating
need...
an apple, either I put it on a plate or I never set it down.
Who cares? That's stupid.
Casey's gonna kill you.
That's stupid. I'm just saying. It's
Casey's like the real monster in this episode is Zach.
It's
It probably is.
What's wrong with? Why does it bother you?
You don't
it a germ
set your half-eaten food. It's like eating a sandwich and like setting it on the counter.
It's not though.
Why?
She didn't put the surface that she bit. She didn't put it bite side down.
She's just
on the
like,
counter.
Apples are kind of round.
No,
They probably rolled over.
Boo-boo, you can set an apple down like this and the bottom will hold it up.
Okay, I just don't see the point in setting down anything that you're eating on a common surface like a
I'll
counter.
fucking whatever.
Unless
Was
it's
this
on
a
a
hard
plate.
I mean, a
rule in your
cake
house
pop
growing
off
up?
of the bathroom floor of a truck stop. I don't care.
Oh my God, Casey.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't the bathroom.
Thank you.
It was the
Thank
truck stop
you.
floor.
You went from our Ice Cream Man episode from you saying you ate a cake pop off the truck stop floor, which was bad enough, and now you just said it was off the bathroom of a truck stop floor.
It wasn't. It was just the truck stop floor.
I am going to step in here as the middleman because we've got Zach, who is coming at this with a very strict rule. That is not to say it is unjustified, but it is like one, side of the spectrum. And then we have Casey, who I was sympathizing with until I realized she's coming from the opposite side of the spectrum because she is fine with eating cake pops.
I just don't understand what you think the issue is. Why is it an issue?
Well, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Zach, is it a cleanliness thing, or were you raised just to not put food onto surfaces?
Well, I think so. I mean,
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just curious. I just don't know where it's coming from.
She eats the apple and then she just sets it on the fucking counter. I don't know how else to describe it.
So, but why? But why is it such a big deal?
Because it's gross.
Why is it gross?
So it's a.
Who
is it
knows
gross
on
for
that
the counter
and
to
two,
have some
But
of
she
those
didn't wash
germs?
the apple before she picked it from the tree anyway. A bird might shit on that thing.
Well, yeah,
So-
but it's in his.
the bird
his
shit was like. Puts it like fuck.
Yeah.
But there's no pesticides on it. It's from a fucking tree, right?
So there's no pesticides on it, but there might be bird shit on it.
There might, but I don't.
So what?
Are we worried about? I guess
Well,
this is
then
what will
the real
help me.
monster would be the fucking bird that shit on the apple.
Oh, is it not her for not washing the apple before she ate it?
No, she set it on the counter, Casey.
I
She
need to
set it
understand
on
something
the
quick.
counter of a stranger's house.
But it's going to be her.
so-
When I rent an Airbnb, I'll walk around that motherfucker naked.
But this
I
is what I
paid
need
for
to
that.
understand. Are
Okay,
we?
but you
Zach,
don't lay
are
on
you
the
mad
counter
at
and-
Harper?
I'll sit on the counter naked. I don't care.
Do you not
Do you
like
have
the
wipes?
idea that the counter is now littered with someone's germs on the apple, or are you grossed out by the idea of an apple hitting the germs of the counter?
Right.
Like, are you mad at Harper because it's like, oh, now you're going to get germs from the counter, or oh, I'm mad at Harper because you put your germs on the counter?
That's what I'm wondering
mad.
too.
I think I might be mad. Okay, let me put this in a different perspective.
I'm just too heated.
If I had a guest over in my house, right?
Sure.
And they
I
came
guess
over.
that paid you to stay there. And you will not be there while they are there.
But I'm there now.
But you won't be.
Maybe it's
And they paid you.
They could be.
They got it
farting
for
on
2
pillows.
weeks and they paid you a bunch of money.
So she eats the apple and just takes a big old bite of it. Her saliva is
We
on the
know that.
apple and everything. And she sets it on the counter and Jeffrey walks in and he sees a fucking stranger's half-eaten apple on his kitchen counter.
So you don't think the germs get on the counter any other way?
Just use a plate. Or a towel or a paper towel.
She's probably got more germs on her hands from fucking picking her nose on the drive over there and touching the counter.
Why are you making Harper more of a monster than she needs to be?
She's not. I'm just saying she's a human. And picking her nose in the car has probably made her immune system stronger. So her germs aren't that bad, Zach.
Okay. All right. I take it back.
So
Cut all that out. I'm just kidding.
You don't
I'm
have
not
to take it
cutting it
back.
I'm joking. You're right. That's disgusting.
I think there are fair sides. There are good people on both sides. You know, I think I see where Zach is coming from. I also see where Casey is coming from.
Okay. Then if you do, Danny, do you eat half-eaten things and set them on the counter?
I have taken a bite out of something. It depends. Like an apple has like a shell, you know.
Exactly.
But you eat that shell.
But
she
like,
can
to
wash it off.
Casey's-
That's the.
But yeah, she can wash it off.
But is she gonna?
Point, to Casey's point, though, it's been sort of exposed. Like it's not like bread, for example, which feels very porous and it's
Okay,
gonna
here's
cling
something.
to dirt. Whereas I can wipe off an apple. There's a very common thing of like people who rub apples on their shirt before biting
for no reason. What is that doing? Getting more bacteria on there.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Harper is the real monster for not finishing the apple.
Okay.
Well, it is her fault. Way to go with the theme of the movie, Zach.
We end this episode being like, if she had just done this, we would not be in this situation.
Way to blame Harper.
I guess I have put food down onto surfaces.
I do it all the
before,
time.
But I try.
All the time.
But if I have, I guess it depends. I like to have like a paper towel or a napkin or something to put it down onto. For a plethora of reasons, cleanliness, but also I don't want crumbs because then I'm going to have to clean that shit up too.
I don't use paper towels because I don't like to waste. Mm-hmm. Matt doesn't fucking do dishes. I eat all kinds of things off my counter.
Yeah,
okay,
I don't know.
I'm gonna just to be fair to you guys, I'm gonna, after we're done with this episode, I'm gonna go eat an apple. I'm gonna take a few bites. I'm gonna set it on the counter, and I'm gonna see how I feel about it. I'm gonna see how I feel about it. Maybe it's also
context. Okay, so for example,
oh my god,
say one more thing. Say Zach, you take a bite out of an apple. All of a sudden, someone starts breaking into your house.
Yeah.
And subconsciously, you're not thinking about the apple, but you just set it down. Later,
no, actually,
enough time has passed, or not as much, not too much time has passed in the sense that like the guy's taken care of. The apple has not yet browned. What do you do with this apple? Are you eating it? Are you throwing it away?
No, by Zach's logic, he can't even stop the guy from breaking into his house because he's like, what am I going to do with the apple? Oh my god, I can't put it on the counter.
Zach's just being stabbed to death as he's holding the apple, shaking it in the air.
Don't let it touch the floor. Don't let it touch the floor.
I would set the apple on the counter.
Would you eat it later?
Have I been stabbed? Yes or no?
No. You've actually, if anything, you've built up an appetite because you're like, wow, I evaded death.
Oh,
and then all of a sudden your eye glances to the apple.
You've got all this adrenaline, and you're like, oh yeah,
I need an apple.
I forgot about my apple. Oh my god, I'm so rude.
No, I'm going to end this once and for all. I think both sides have very solid points, and I think at the end of the day, we need to just do what we want to do.
Okay, I will change. I will change my phrasing. No, I will not concede. I will say, Harper is not the real monster. Harper did something
monstrous.
Harper is not the real monster. Harper did something monstrous.
Okay. Who else is on your list?
That's it. I had James for giving the ultimatum, but we already kind of established that.
So I thought mine was shitty because it was a tie.
I mean, I would argue if you're going to say Harper's the monster, oh no, she doesn't. Who puts the crow on the counter? Is it Jeffrey? Jeffrey's the monster.
Yeah, he's the fucking man. Yeah, they're all monsters.
Yeah.
Snaps its neck.
Harper was the monster until he put the crow on the counter, and then you realize, his house rules. This is his house rules
are dead animals on the counter.
Yeah, like I think
freshly dead, not like me. Freshly dead.
Don't put that dead bird on that counter. Harper, put an apple on that counter. Don't pee in the water. Don't drink the water. He peed in it.
We made it.
Okay. So that's Men. That is Men. Do you guys have anything else to add about Men, just the movie in particular?
Just watch
the
it.
Movie? Oh.
Yeah, definitely watch it. It's a trip. It is excellent.
It's really it's a really good watch, especially, we're doing our folk horror triple feature. It's really satisfying when you watch it, when you're also watching, not simultaneously, but when you're watching other folk horror movies, because you really like, when you're in that headspace, you're so conscious of all the themes that folk horror kind of like really pounds into, that this one is like the king of all, I should say the queen of all folk horror movies.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
No, I'm not saying it's the best. That's subjective, but just in terms of like what it's tackling and how it's tackling.
Yeah, it's really, really. This sounds so lame, but it's really something special.
It is.
It is. It's really something special.
Is. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Me too.
So, listeners, if you have seen Men or any other folk movies that you would love to talk about, let us know. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, all of those social media apps. And let us know your thoughts on Men or the folk horror genre in particular.
Also, let us know who's your favorite man in general.
Oh, yeah.
From men.
Or just in general.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite man? My favorite man? Oh, God, that's a great question.
And where can our listeners find you guys on social media?
I'm on Instagram at WolfMotherCasey.
And
nice.
I'm on a plethora of social media channels at my name, Danny Salem. Danny, Salemme. That's 2 M's like the candy, melt in your butt, not in your hands.
Wonderful. And you can find me on social media at Zach Winsick. Make sure you join us for our final feature film in our Folk Around and Find Out triple feature, where we will be covering what, Danny?
The Lair of the White Worm.
Oh my God.
You sounded like Adam West.
Yes, you did.
That's our special guest on that show will be Adam West.
For no reason.
It's his favorite movie.
So yeah, we will be watching The Lair of the White Worm from 1988, starring Hugh Grant.
It's the year I was born.
Oh, really?
And Peter Capaldi, the Doctor.
Oh, like from Doctor Who?
He was the 12th Doctor.
Oh, good for him. Speaking of men, good for him.
Good for him.
Well, the last Doctor was a woman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good for them.
Finally.
I know. Good for them.
Almost 60 years.
So that is a movie you won't want to miss because it seems really fucking crazy. I've never seen it before, but I'm excited to watch it too.
None of us have seen it, have we?
No.
I'm so excited. I don't
trip.
even know. Like, is it a comedy? Is it just weird? I literally have no idea.
According to IMDb, it is a horror comedy.
Oh, fun.
So we'll see what it's all about. So that's it. Thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.